Hey everybody, it's Shaman Sister Sin, and you're listening to the Meditations and More podcast brought to you by littleshaman.org. That's me, Little Shaman. Today I wanted to talk to you about not rescuing the narcissist. This is something that most people deal with at least once when they have a pathologically narcissistic person in their lives, and most people multiple times, so I thought we could discuss it on the show today. Narcissistic people can be very demanding. They can be rude, cruel, abusive, mean, callous, and malicious. However, they're not always like that. There are times when narcissists can be very endearing, even pathetic. It's very hard to ignore repeated cries for help, especially when you truly believe that the person cannot do certain things for themselves. But playing into their view of themselves as a victim is the exact wrong thing to do. This strategy of presenting themselves as a victim can be very successful for pathologically narcissistic people, especially in the short term, which is what most of their focus is. People are drawn to victims. It can feel good to be needed. It can be exciting and intoxicating to save somebody. It's very intense a lot of times. It can be an ego boost to be necessary or to solve somebody's problems. It provokes sympathy in people and their desire to help. But this wears thin, and it doesn't usually take all that long because the victim in this particular situation can never be truly rescued. There's always another emergency. There's always another problem. There's never a real solution. Suggested solutions are generally ignored, dismissed as inadequate, impossible, unfair, or even raged against and treated with hostility. Often no effort is made on the part of the narcissist at all to better the situation or the circumstances. People get sick of this and they give up. This is one of the reasons that many narcissistic people change environments, circles of friends, and partners so often. They have to find new people who aren't sick of them. Narcissistic people need accomplices in their behavior. They need enablers, an enabling environment. Remember that enabling doesn't mean agreeing with somebody's behavior. It has nothing to do with whether you approve of someone's behavior or not. It only refers to creating an environment where someone can do toxic, harmful things, either to themselves or to others. A person can be an enabler even if they don't agree with or approve of the other person's behavior. For example, if someone knows their spouse is abusing one of the children and they disapprove of this behavior, yet they don't do anything to stop it, they don't remove the abuser from the situation or the child, they're enabling that situation. People sometimes believe you can't be an enabler if you don't agree with the behavior, and I want to be really clear about the fact that that is not true. Some enablers do agree with the behavior of the person they're enabling and they defend it, but that is not necessary in order to foster an enabling environment. All that really needs to happen is for people to allow the behavior. That creates an enabling environment right there. Many times, people find themselves in the role of chronic rescuer, either because they've chosen that role or because it's been thrust upon them. It can seem that nobody needs rescue more than a pathologically narcissistic person. They're often impulsive, self-sabotaging, and unable to foresee consequences. They can be extremely short-sighted, extremely gullible, and they're prone to magical thinking. The combination of these things can lead to dilemmas, problems, and downright catastrophes in the lives of narcissistic people. When the consequences for their actions or their inaction, if they didn't do something they should have done, when these things set in, narcissistic people might panic. They may reach out frantically for someone to rescue them from the harsh reality. They may cry, scream, beg, bargain, rage, or display any manner of manipulative behaviors designed to get the other person to take care of the problem for them. It's very difficult to ignore these things, especially raging or hysteria. But rescuing the narcissist does not fix the problem. It doesn't even address the problem. It's the equivalent of patching a hole in a leaky boat while the other passenger sits there drilling more holes, all the while screaming at you to stop the boat from sinking. It's not possible to protect or rescue someone from their own bad decisions. It cannot be done. All that can really be done is that you either enable those bad decisions or you don't. Now, upon hearing this, people often ask if it's wrong to help other people. Of course it's not wrong. But when does helping become enabling? It can be a fine line sometimes, but the answer is probably that if you really want to help somebody, you need to help them to help themselves. If they're not trying to help themselves, then chances are nothing you do is going to be helpful anyway. You're just patching holes. And eventually, that will not be enough to stop the boat from sinking. The other person needs to learn to stop making the holes in the first place. If they don't, it's not going to matter what anybody does. They're going down. It can be hard to leave somebody just to face the consequences of their own behavior, especially when you know they're going to have a big problem because of it and because you know they will probably try to punish you for that. But it isn't your responsibility to save this person. It isn't your responsibility to solve their problems. It isn't your responsibility to make sure they're never uncomfortable, angry, sad, that they never have a bad day. That's their responsibility. Those things are all their responsibility. If someone is forced to face consequences, there is at least a chance, however small it may be, that they will finally learn, at the very least, to change their behavior. If they're never required to face consequences and take responsibility for their own lives, that chance becomes zero. Hey everybody, it's Shaman Sister Sin, and you're listening to the Meditations and More podcast brought to you by littleshaman.org. That's me, the Little Shaman. Today I wanted to talk to you about why it's important to stop making excuses for the narcissist. Too many times people find themselves rationalizing, justifying, or excusing the behavior of narcissistic people. Not only does this minimize the severity of their behavior, it gives them an excuse, and they already have plenty of those. Dealing with narcissists is very difficult. They are hard to deal with, hard to communicate with, and hard to understand. Because of this, a rational person's mind struggles to come up with reasons for why they act the way they do. It's what drives so many people to look it up on the internet or to watch videos like this one. Unfortunately, the explanation is one that many people still have trouble with. Their own basic decency and humanity prevents them from really internalizing the truth, so the mind creates rationalizations or excuses for the behavior. He doesn't really mean that. He's just upset. Or she doesn't understand how she's hurting other people. He has a mental illness. She's had a hard life. He's tired. She's anxious. They're stressed out. It's a full moon. On and on and on. All these things might be true. The narcissist may even have other issues on top of these things, especially those with personality disorders, and it's still not an excuse to abuse people. Life is not fair. We all have our fair share of rotten things that happen or days that we are really stressed out. That's just the way it is. None of these things are an excuse for the systematic abuse and attempted destruction of other people that narcissists engage in. You see, the narcissist always has an excuse. There's always a reason they're upset. Always a reason they're not to blame. Always a reason they couldn't control themselves. It's a crock, to put it bluntly. It's a lie. Put a policeman in the room and see how fast their behavior comes correct. The truth is, they behave the way they do because they're choosing to. And making excuses for them reinforces that choice over and over again. Every time they get away with it, it just entrenches the behavior deeper. Why should they stop if it works? They won't. This is one of the biggest reasons narcissists don't change. They don't need to. The way they behave works for them in its own way. If it stops working, you may see a change in their behavior, but more than likely, they'll change their environment and try to find an environment where their behavior does work and does get them what they want. That's why they discard people a lot of the time, because the person has seen through them and the behavior no longer works to get them what they want, so they just leave. These people are very slow to change. They generally only do so if forced to do so because their previous behavior no longer gets them what they want, and even then, they'll usually just swap one toxic abusive behavior for another because the goal of the behavior is still the same. They really don't care about how their behavior is affecting other people. They'll only change it if they need to, and if they're given excuses for their behavior, they'll never need to. They have something to blame it on instead of taking responsibility for it. For example, a narcissistic person who physically abuses their spouse might go to jail for that. If that happens, they may stop that behavior because they don't want to go to jail anymore. However, they're still going to be a narcissist. Their goals are still going to be the same. They'll still be an abuser. It just won't be physical abuse anymore. And of course, many of them will just leave that relationship and find another person to have a relationship with rather than change their behavior. Narcissists, like all people, do what works for them and what makes them feel good. They are unlikely to give up behavior that accomplishes these things regardless of how it affects others or even how it affects them long term. They're all about instant gratification and short-term goals. For many narcissists, today is the only day that ever was, and all that matters is getting what they can out of it. They generally don't worry about tomorrow, and the only thing that matters from yesterday is whatever they believe was done to them. Their behavior from the past does not matter at all. They're turning over a new leaf every day. Every day is the first day, the only day that ever was. The more excuses people make for them, or repeat for them, or believe from them, the more it reinforces their behavior. They know right from wrong. They can control their behavior when they need to. They don't get an excuse for their behavior because there is no excuse for their behavior. They know it's wrong. They just don't care. How they feel or what they want is more important, and it always will be. There should be a very hard line drawn here using boundaries and consequences. A person having a disorder or some other type of problem is never an excuse for putting up with abuse, period. It's a shame they have that problem, and hopefully they learn to control themselves, but until they admit that their behavior is the result of choices they are making, the chances of that are pretty slim, and giving them free rein to abuse people is not going to help that happen. Loved ones need to remember that it is not their responsibility to fix these people, and that you will help the situation more by not excusing their behavior and by forcing them to take responsibility for it by refusing to put up with it. They'll never learn it's not acceptable to you if you don't show them it's unacceptable to you. Telling them is not enough. You have to show them using boundaries and consequences. And if they never learn then that's their problem. At least it won't affect you anymore. Hey everybody, it's Shaman Sister Sin, and you're listening to the Meditations and More podcast brought to you by littleshaman.org. That's me, the Little Shaman. Today I wanted to talk to you about not letting the narcissist destroy your peace. This can be difficult. These people work overtime to cause problems, upset other people, and ruin their day. But if you notice, the title of this episode is Stop Letting the Narcissist Destroy Your Peace. The word letting is very important here. Except in very extreme circumstances, nobody has any power over you or your emotions that you did not give them. It's a matter of learning to take it back. In fact, the whole thing is really about power and who has it. Narcissists want to feel powerful. They want to feel like they're controlling things. This is because they feel very weak and helpless inside. One of the ways they try to exert power and control over others is through emotions. They use guilt, anger, and many other emotions to manipulate people. They purposely endeavor to upset, anger, and hurt other people. They feel powerful when they can get someone to cry or get them angry or hoover them and get them to return to a relationship where they're being treated badly. They like that feeling of control they get because they don't feel like they have any. That's part of the reason they're so desperate to affect other people and work so hard to do so. They feel that others are controlling them through their emotional reactions to the things that people do and say, so they attempt to do the same thing to other people. They feel no responsibility for their own behavior. They believe that responsibility falls on other people. Well, if you didn't do that, I wouldn't have to do this. Aside from the fact that many times what they're accusing you of doing is false or greatly over-exaggerated, it's no one's fault that they reacted the way they did. Reaction is a choice. Narcissists don't seem able to understand that, probably because their feelings are so overwhelming and because they gave themselves permission and were given permission by others to act that way long ago. Think of somebody who hits their spouse. It's always the spouse's fault. You provoked me, you pushed my buttons, you nagged me, you made me. That's not true. They chose to react that way. Everyone chooses their reaction in that situation or any other. How you react is always a choice. If you get angry, you can choose to lose your temper and hit somebody. You can choose to scream and holler. You can choose to calmly discuss how you feel, or you can choose to say nothing at all. It's no one else's fault if someone cannot control themselves or chooses to react the way they do. You might feel someone deserves to get punched in the mouth for something, and maybe they do, but it's still your choice to do it or not. It isn't their fault you chose that. They are to blame for their actions, not yours, and you're not to blame for theirs either. This is the key to disarming the narcissist and taking their power over you away. They cannot affect you if you don't let them. This sounds trite, but it is 100% the truth. For example, let's say the narcissist in your life always uses a certain event or a subject that you react badly to cause problems. What would happen if you stopped reacting badly to it? What would happen if, instead of screaming and hollering or crying or getting defensive, you just ignored it? Or simply looked at them and said, you're entitled to your opinion, and that's all? What if no matter how long they fussed and hollered or what they said, you just didn't react? Didn't defend yourself, didn't get emotional, didn't do any of the things that they're counting on you to do? How can they cause a problem if you don't play along? This is the key. Every relationship is a two-way street, even the relationship with a narcissist. They can't play the game by themselves. You have to play too. If you stop playing, there is no game. It's just one person who eventually ends up looking pretty silly. Now, this can be hard to do at first, but it is so worth it in the end. The drama stops when you stop participating in it. They might still be dramatic and behaving all crazy, but you won't be. And the stress caused by trying to convince this person that they're wrong or mistaken and that you're not evil or that no one's out to get them or whatever other crazy thing is gone. The hardest part of this is probably to accept that the narcissist is not causing this reaction in you. Remember the abusive spouse analogy. It's a choice. You don't have to play along. You don't have to get emotional. Their opinion is their opinion, and that's all it is. In reality, it means literally nothing. Now, sometimes it can be really difficult not to react, especially when they're doing things that involve your children or your finances and things like that. In those situations, you can leave the relationship, you can make a record of the incidents with your children and show it to the judge if you're already divorced. You can lock them out of your bank account if they're stealing from you or separate your finances. You can do whatever you need to do to get the crazy out of your life, but letting it ruin your peace is not going to change anything. It's only going to make you more miserable. Nothing you can do is going to make this person something different than what they are. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do to stop them from behaving that way. But you can stop playing along with it. You can choose to take the power back from them. Now, let me add here that people often say if they stop reacting, the narcissist escalates. That's right, many times they do. They're looking for that reaction. If this person is becoming violent, if they're breaking things, if they're out of control, you need to call the police or leave as soon as you can. You could stay with a friend or family. There are shelters, there are safe houses, there are programs. Putting up with abuse to prevent worse abuse is no way to live. I hope you understand, either now or someday, that you don't have to do that. Hey everybody, it's Shaman Sister Sin, and you're listening to the Meditations and More podcast brought to you by The Little Shaman Healing. That's me, The Little Shaman. Today I wanted to talk to you about the focus of healing. Now, a lot of the videos I do are about narcissistic people, but the narcissistic people themselves should not be the focus of healing, and I want to make sure that I make that very clear. Understanding these people is very important, and there's nothing worse than not knowing what's wrong with your loved one. Understanding helps us figure out what's going wrong so that we can let go and move on. It takes away the confusion and makes it so that healing actually has a path. However, again, I want to make it clear that the narcissist should not be the focus. Your own healing and wellness should be the focus. Now, it's understandable why that happens sometimes. When someone hurts you or causes you pain, then of course you're going to be focused on that. It's also often easier to focus on what someone else did than it is to confront our own pain or our own part in a situation. But healing can't begin until that happens. Part of healing, truly healing, is learning and forgiving yourself. If you can't confront your own pain or your own part in a situation, you can't do either one of those things. This is why we sometimes see people simply going from one narcissistic relationship to another one. When the focus is on the other person, the internal issues that are creating the vulnerability to this type of relationship is not being addressed. If it's not being addressed, then it can't be healed. Then the whole thing just starts all over again. There are many episodes of this show about how to break the bonds with abusive and toxic people, so I'm not going to revisit all of that here. There is actually a playlist on the channel page for this show with episodes that all focus exactly on these things, so if you haven't seen them, you might want to check that out. Those can help you understand why you keep becoming entangled in these types of relationships and how to stop that from happening. Or maybe you already have an idea of why, but you just can't seem to put it into action. Either way, it's important to remember that understanding the narcissist is only half the problem. Once you've made your peace with understanding why they did what they did, it's time to figure out why you did what you did. Otherwise, people find themselves in the same relationship over and over again without ever understanding why. People often ask, why do I keep attracting narcissists? But that to me is not the question. The question to me is not, why do I keep attracting narcissists? It's, why do I keep being attracted to narcissists in the first place? The way this question is posed demonstrates that the focus is often on the wrong person here. Because it wouldn't matter why they were attracted to you if you were not attracted to them anyway. Because you wouldn't enter into a relationship with them. Or you would end the relationship when they reveal themselves as what they are, which, as you know, they always do. There often seems to be a sense of helplessness surrounding this whole situation, as though things are just happening and people have no control over them. This is not the case. You're not helpless. You do have power. You do have strength. All you have to do is decide to use it, and it will be there. If you never remember anything I ever say, please remember that. You do have strength. You're not helpless. You do have power. All relationships are a two-way street. Yes, narcissists misrepresent themselves, and of course, abuse is always wrong. But don't forget, it isn't just that narcissists are attracted to you or in a relationship with you. You have power here also. You are in a relationship with them as well. You are obviously attracted to them too. Regardless of the type of relationship, whether the narcissist is your parent or your spouse or your sibling, when the relationship finally revealed itself as toxic and abusive, you did not walk away. There's a reason you have not ended the relationship. But what is it? When you can look at that honestly and figure out why you're willing to accept less than you deserve, you can stop that from happening. Then you don't have to worry about figuring out who's a narcissist and who isn't, because it won't matter. Anyone who reveals themselves as toxic will not be appealing to you anymore. You'll know you deserve better, and you will not be afraid to act on that. It takes work to get there, and it can be pretty uncomfortable, but I promise you, it is far less uncomfortable than dealing with an abusive person who does not care about you or your feelings at all. That is a hell on earth that nobody deserves, and it doesn't have to be your reality anymore. These things can be hard for many people to hear, and I know that, but it's so important to understand that it's the absolute truth. The narcissist has taken enough from you already. They've been the main focus for so long. Isn't it time to start focusing on the person who has been ignored this whole time? You. Hey everybody, it's Shaman Sister Sin, and you're listening to the Meditations and More podcast brought to you by littleshaman.org. That's me, the Little Shaman. Today I wanted to talk to you about why it's a good idea to stop wasting time on narcissists. It isn't about just wasting time loving them or trying to fix them or getting through to them or explaining to them. It's about not letting them take up space in your head, period. Narcissistic abuse is very traumatic. It's confusing. It's gut-wrenching. Many people have never experienced this type of person before, and they don't understand. This person seems mentally ill sometimes, and other times perfectly fine. One minute they're having a normal conversation with you, and the next they're hysterical over something that didn't even happen. No amount of reasoning, logic, or explanation gets through to them. They may say things that are totally off the wall, completely out of reality. So you might think to yourself, okay, something's obviously really wrong here. Normal people don't act like this. So you start looking for answers. Hey, if something has a name, then maybe it can be fixed, right? You love this person, and they're obviously having some kind of horrible problem. So you search for answers, and maybe you find some. But it doesn't change anything. No matter what you do or don't do, this person still behaves the same way. Nothing gets better, nothing improves. At this point, people's lives usually become a battle to try and make the narcissist understand they have a problem and force them to get help, which will not work. Or they leave the situation because they realize there's nothing that can be done. Those who don't leave need to be honest with themselves about why they're willing to sacrifice their own well-being for someone who not only doesn't care about them, this person doesn't even care about themselves either. The narcissist's health and well-being means more to you than it does to them. There's no way to help somebody like that. There's nothing you can do. Acceptance of this is very important. It prevents you from wasting time trying. Regardless of whether people leave the situation or stay, most try to understand what's happened. Understanding what's happened to you is very important. It's the reason I do this show. When people can't understand what happened, they can't move on. If they can't move on, they can't heal. When someone can't heal from abuse, they're still a victim. A victim is vulnerable. They might become involved in another abusive situation more easily than someone who has learned the lesson they needed to learn and has healed. So understanding what's happened is very important. Understanding what happened should only be a step in the direction of moving on, though. It should not be the whole goal. Searching for answers should only be done until the answer has been found. If it goes on longer, it starts to become less helpful. Sometimes people think they're looking for answers when really what they're doing is looking for something that proves the answer wrong because they're trying to hold on to hope. This is very common, but it's something that only drags everything out longer because the answer's not going to change. You're dealing with a broken person. There's no happy ending here. You can choose to keep dealing with them if you wish. That's entirely up to you. There's no law against it. It's your life. However, they're not just going to snap out of it. There's no video you can watch or article you can read that can change that. There's no magical formula that can be given and no pill that can be prescribed that can make this person something other than what they are. That's hard for a lot of people to hear, and there's no one who wishes it wasn't true more than me. But ignoring reality doesn't change anything. We often see people saying things like, well, the techniques like no jade and gray rock don't work because the narcissist is still abusive. That's right, they are. And they always will be. There's nothing you can do about that. The techniques are for you. They're not for the narcissist. Nothing can make them not abusive. And the sooner people can really truly accept that, the less disappointed and hurt they'll be in the long run, whether they leave the situation or not. Don't waste your time searching for a magic pill to cure the narcissist's problem or to make interacting with them easier. There isn't one. Not at this time and maybe never. The situation is what it is. Revenge is another thing that people might become preoccupied with, and that is a total waste of time. Anything you might do to them is only rewarding them with attention. You can't hurt them that way because they don't care about you. You're just letting them know that they're still taking up space in your head, that they're still important to you, and that they're still affecting you. Hating the narcissist falls into the same category. Many people think it hurts the narcissist to let them know they're hated. Well, they already thought that. It makes no difference. Now, both of these things are normal. They're understandable and expected. Of course you hate someone who's hurt you, and of course you'd like to get revenge on them for the awful things they've done. You could even say they deserve it, and you'll get no argument from me. But in the end, it's a waste of time. The only person it affects is you. They are so wrapped up in the cocoon of their own self-absorbed emotions that no one can touch them. Not with love, not with hate, not with anything. You might as well be plotting revenge against a robot or a table and chairs for all it would matter. Don't waste your time. It's not worth it. The best revenge is moving on and not looking back. Ironically, that's about the only thing that might have a chance of actually hurting them. Not mattering is their greatest fear, and it's a huge blow to their ego. Life is short. Sometimes it's really short. Time and love are two of the most valuable gifts that we've been given. Perhaps they are the only ones that matter. Don't waste them on people or things that don't bring you happiness. I hope this clears a few things up for you. As always, I look forward to your comments, questions, and suggestions, so please keep those coming. You've been listening to the Meditations and More podcast brought to you by littleshaman.org. That's me, the Little Shaman. May the Great Spirit bless you and have a wonderful day.